Lord.
I mean, is that a daily commute for you?
No, I do it once a week unless I'm like flying on a client site or something.
Yeah.
Because I have to go to the plane.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the same. Yes, I go up once a week.
Yeah.
Whether I'm flying out or not.
Yeah.
And they're doing like a return to office for everybody. Mm-hmm. Nobody's had that conversation with me yet.
I want to be able to make a quick exit.
Everybody's doing that.
Of course, I always want to do that.
All right, and I don't see, we don't have to let anybody in or whatever. I know Jim was talking about attending remotely, but it doesn't look like, you don't have to, there's no waiting room, as I remember.
There's no waiting room. They just pop in.
You got Brian's note?
He's coming, yeah. Oh, and is the door still open?
Yeah, Joe did something to
Did you
the,
leave it open behind us? Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
Brian can get
they'll be sneaking in.
Good old fashioned. I mean, I had no problem with it.
no.
All right, friends.
Connect to Wi-Fi.
Been on a welcome. Oh, there's Jim! Yay!
Mr. Nickman.
He hasn't got his sound on
Definitely
yet.
not.
I'll get there. This takes a little longer.
Give us a wave if you hear us.
Went twice.
Hello! How are you?
Hey.
Hey, Jeff.
We're great. We're so glad
Jeffrey?
you're here. Welcome.
Julian Sear.
All right.
Democrat stuff.
Welcome, everyone. We're getting a little bit of a late start just because we weren't able to get into the building, but we're in. We've worked our connections and we're in, so we're so glad you're here. Jim, send smoke
Lydia
signals
has,
if you need us. Otherwise, we're just going
signs for Wellfleet, and Terry has
to
it.
charge ahead.
All right. Here we go. No, that's it.
All right, bye-bye.
Connected yet? Wait a minute. Oh, Jim, we can
Hey,
hear you
Jim.
now.
Alright, so where am I going?
So,
All right. While we're figuring out the internet, which is always a little. We can call the meeting to order. No, I hear being maybe.
we need to call the roll.
Yes, we sure do. Because we have Jim. You want to give us? Jim Nickman is online, attending virtually. We can all view that.
Yep.
We can all see it. We since we're doing this virtually, we have to go ahead.
Barbara, just say your
Barbara
name.
Nickerson.
Margot.
Yep.
Margot Fenn.
Come here 1 second.
Oh. Yeah, he's
Oh, he's
talking
trying to figure
his
it
wife.
out. Oh, yeah. I thought it was me.
Yeah.
Garrett Kern.
Joyce McIntyre.
Ed McManus.
David Spitz.
Mary Jones.
All right. And the first item on our agenda is to review and approve the minutes from our October meeting. I'm gonna mute him.
You muted us.
You muted us. Huh?
You gotta go over to that.
All right. There you go.
Trying to get
Proposal to approve minutes?
Okay, are you on there?
Moved.
So can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
We can now.
Yes. Very quick audio.
I'd start talking, but then they're gonna parachute in. We can hear you, Jim.
Okay, I move approval of the minutes.
Yeah, could we get a second?
Second.
And then we have to call off, so all in favor?
Wait, discussion. So Margot sent me a note afterwards that I didn't have the list of attendees,
Okay?
which
we were all here.
I have actually not had on the last probably
Who
six.
organized the meeting?
Thank you.
Hello?
Keep going.
All right, thank you. You're
6 or
on it.
9 months because we had a conversation
Now I
that time
finally
with
noticed.
Oh, hi there.
Emily.
Power of the mute button.
Go ahead. Carry on.
What's that?
Can you hear us?
And she said
Can you hear
that
us?
No, thank you.
No.
No,
there was
no, send
some
him a chat.
concern about putting who was absent and present and that type of thing.
Oh,
So, yeah, I know.
Really?
So well, this whole thing, yeah, so any guidance on,
Who said that?
I believe it was a conversation we had with Emily. Right, well, it had the whole thing when I was told how to take them correctly as far as whenever we had somebody online, we had to speak
yeah. we
our
have to-
votes, et cetera, and
Yeah,
not, and put down who was
well,
online.
when you talk, it says that there is a meeting there. So you can see
Go ahead,
that
you can just talk over him. Gary's
So,
on it.
so based on that, do you want me to change the minutes or how do you,
I guess I would just go with what was Emily's original guidelines.
okay, I'll double check
Okay.
with her when I get
Okay.
back, but.
Okay. We're
It's
never
just-
wrong if we consult the
this
clerk.
isn't on our side.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We still have to roll call off
Right.
to approve these minutes.
The mic. The mic is fully up. So,
All right, we can't be hijacked by this. Mary, you support the minutes?
I do.
Mary, you gotta say your name.
Mary, second.
Yes.
Whatever.
David Spitz, yes.
Yes.
I do this, can you hear me?
Joyce McIntyre.
Margot Fenn, yes.
Barbara Nickerson, yes.
Garrett.
Yes. Garrett, yes.
All right. But Jim,
Jim
we don't need
Hickman,
him
yes.
anyway. But we do, but we can support the minutes. All right, the internet is still dodgy here, so let me get the second part of our agenda up. Okay, because we have this part. All right. So, Christine may not be able to join us, but that's okay. Basically, I want to touch base again about our ongoing dates. We all know that this, this is going to be a
Yeah.
complete draft by the end of the calendar year, and we're going to go before
Oh,
town
no,
meeting
no.
for adoption. The housing production plan went before the planning board for kind of discussion and review on the 22nd. The whole plan overall will have to be approved by the planning board and will then, of course, go before our select board. So we're trucking on that. And one,
Okay,
we can,
testing, 1, 2, 3.
we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Is
Can
that a
you?
thumbs up?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Thumbs down?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can
Yeah.
hear you.
That's a thumbs up?
Yes.
She's
Yes.
seeing.
Can you hear us?
Can
We
you?
can't hear you though.
Ah, it's your mic.
It's your audio.
So,
You guys are down.
Do we have Jim's number?
I'm gonna.
Okay,
text-
thank
I'm
you.
gonna
You're
go
on.
to meeting
All
right
right.
now. I'm texting him.
So, is there any other dates?
You can always call him at 609-577-7789 if you'd like to do it as an audio call.
And if this is too difficult, I surely understand that you guys can go on without me. I feel bad to waste time.
No worse than a locked door.
Great.
Tell us his number again, one more time. We're gonna try one more time. All right, thank you. So, any other dates to the committee that I'm not remembering?
Is the open space plan, what's the status of that?
That's a question for Christine. If she's able to join us, we can,
Oh,
we
okay.
can double that for that.
she's not
Oh,
gonna be
please.
able to.
Okay, okay. Is she okay? Okay. Go ahead.
Do you want to do that now?
Sure. Anything you know. We're all friends
Okay,
here. Yes.
Fresh off the presses, we met with Christine and Erica and I met this morning, and Erica has completed most of the updates, including goals and objectives, which that she'd been waiting for from Christine, and then prepared draft actions. So the schedule is that.
Here's the number up there, Garrett.
I got it.
All right.
Is that we should be ready with a full draft with Now, that's been reviewed by the Open Space Committee by your next meeting.
Sure.
So if you'd be willing to devote some time to it at your December meeting.
December's open space, we love it.
Yeah.
We're on it.
We should be ready for it.
Great.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
I know we had wonderful attendance at the planning board for the housing production plan, so we devoted this agenda item C to this. Thank you all for being there. That was a Tuesday that I was operating in Worcester, so go team. It was great that you were all there. Please give us the official rundown.
David,
David?
were you there?
David was there. I know he was. I was waiting for him to,
You want to report?
as was Mary and
Let me think, what do I want to say about it? I think there was a lot of same old, same old. There were a number of people who simply wanted to say that the North Harwich project was no good.
okay.
The only strange thing from my point of view was at the very end, when the chair said he was not ready to support the housing production plan because it hadn't taken into account any of the recent or last 10, 15 years planning theory about what makes a community work. So he was really getting into the realm of theoretical planning, which is great, except a housing production plan follows a certain boilerplate. So there wasn't any real groundwork laid for him introducing that. And I think what's going to happen is that the housing production plan approval will probably go forward with the majority of the board, and he's simply registered an objection about it not considering certain aspects of planning theory that he would like to see considered. So anyone else? There were a lot of us
Well,
there.
Go team.
If-
Glad everyone was there. Thank you.
If I may, what concerned me is specifically, he had stated that was the fourth presentation he's had of the plan altogether. But yet,
Yeah, an upside down triangle.
Oh, not upside down triangle, like an actual triangle. It's like a little pointer.
Just keep talking. It's
But-
okay.
You know,
I hope my voice can project.
it's the camera, I see share,
We can just mute this.
Yeah, no,
and
they keep
then
on
there's
muting
raise
themselves.
hand and record,
Keep
there's
talking.
nothing else.
But yet,
Turn the volume down.
Yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Keep going, Mary.
But yet he readily admitted that he has not read the plan in its entirety, even though it was his fourth presentation. And his concern was more of what he did not see in there, specifically, how, as I took it, an itemization of actions, goals and actions. Did you all understand it that way too? That it was missing an action plan? And that was his main concern.
I didn't pick up on that part of it.
I remember the word action, and because I remember his lifting up the paper and saying what it's not, doesn't have in it, the actions. Because I was thinking that's not what's supposed to be in the scope of the HPP, is
Maybe
it?
somebody needs to
Yeah.
meet with him to
we'll work on
explain
it.
that.
It does have
And
actions.
it yes, it could be actionable, so.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
No, this is
But-
why it's all the
I
process. Yeah.
suppose that relates back to as far as when we have a draft or a draft final of the local comprehensive plan that will go to the same said
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a similar response for all of the efforts that have been really placed into this through everyone in the committee? I've only been here a year,
Yeah.
but you all have put in a year more than that. And it was a little it's concerning to think that all this effort and that was the,
Okay, well, it's good.
Final
It's
say.
good to be talking about it now, not April. So we'll get at it.
I think there was some confusion on the location of the plan. I got the impression that neither he nor most of the others had read the plan because they thought it should be on their website, but it was on our website, and I think there was a bit of a disconnect with that, so.
Okay.
Supposedly, this week, do they meet this week then? they were supposed to go through it and hopefully approve it 2 weeks after the fact, so it should be probably this
If I
week.
could,
Please.
I don't have the exact date, but I believe Christine said that it was this month that it's scheduled to go back.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I don't have the exact date.
So it was,
okay. It, all surmountable. Yeah, I mean, just for the record, and like the cards have been tipped all the way back. When did we meet at the community center, right? What was that, July? It was hot with the fan, and that was a big unveiling of the housing production plan, where we were going with it and things like that.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, this has not been
We've also appeared right before the planning board,
right.
update them.
Right.
Yeah, so it's definitely not the first time.
Yeah,
we've seen
we'll
it.
keep working on it.
Karen did a great job, though. She did a really good job.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, though, if someone doesn't need to meet with Duncan
Yeah, I can.
to talk about the scope, the required scope under the state,
Right.
program.
Duncan has some very good ideas, but he didn't express them in the right way.
Yeah,
So yes, he should be brought in.
yeah.
If you or someone else has a good relationship with him.
I know him, but I don't know him well.
I don't know. I've
I
never-
can reach out. I will reach out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I think, and it would probably
We
be
need their
good,
buy-in.
good to have Christine there because, I mean, a lot of her work at the Vineyard Commission was housing stuff, and that would, she's familiar with this.
Yep.
So to be able to explain,
Yep.
that there's a very specific
Yeah,
set of
formula
things that
to
this
have
plan
this
is
approved.
supposed to,
Yes, yes.
supposed to do.
Yeah, for the commission and the
Yeah.
state, and to meet
Yeah.
to meet what it is supposed to accomplish. Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
And as to the comment that David made, that he said about it not including the sort of development of planning theory over the last 15 years, well, that's not really something that I think goes in the production plan, but more in, the rest of our,
Yeah,
the rest of the
thematically,
comprehensive plan.
thematically, what would that kind of cover if you were to summarize? Like what, like,
Oh, I can't say what he's seeing as the theory of the last 10, 15
Yeah.
years.
okay, he didn't elaborate.
No, he didn't, but he's somebody with a lot of very good planning knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to repeat, it just wasn't expressed in the right way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to have any, I don't think it's indicative of any other process in town. But I think that he needs to be tied into
Yeah.
what he can do when,
Yeah.
because I think his input is very valuable. I just don't think he handled it the best way that particular evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the sort of advancements in housing or planning theory around communities is, the sort of smart growth, compact growth
Yeah.
emphasis that has gained.
Yeah. Which is referenced
Yeah.
probably
I
in
think there
the
was
plan
other stuff
overhaul.
too.
Yeah,
but I
there may
can't
be
Okay.
other
reference.
stuff, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
you know.
right, which is referenced in the maybe if it wasn't in the numbers grind of the housing production plan is in the
But-
plan as a whole.
Other than that sort of curveball at the very end, I'm not remembering it. What else am I forgetting that was in the meeting? I remember North Harwich, and I remember his comments at the end. I'm sure there was other stuff in the meeting.
Yeah.
It was about the finance aspect
Oh, the
of it.
finance guy. How could I forget him?
What did he have to say?
Oh, what's his name? Churi.
Oh, yeah.
He basically said, "Have you costed everything out?"
Oh, yeah.
Which we
Well-
have, there's a finance section at the end, yes.
And looked at the environmental impact of everything. Because, we're gonna have more people, we're gonna have enough water for everything, we're gonna have enough this for everything.
Right.
I mean, not to say that he was wrong in some of the things he was just discussing, however,
It's an interesting thought, though, to Sharon, and as we go, and we want it to be used, so clearly the chair of the planning board has to be, not think that
Right.
this is stupid, right? So, and be invested in. So we've talked about that all along, and on the agenda here is governance as well. But it also makes sense maybe, is, even though the housing production plan for the approval service, at the state and stuff has to meet certain criteria, probably a good sense of that it is part of the plan, the local plan, the comprehensive plan as a whole. When you're talking about it in the community, it's hard to take that out in isolation, right?
especially in this case.
Right,
Yeah.
there's a great example of where you need to kind of see all the, like, in fact, I mean, I will delve into it. I dug into this document, I wrote it cover to cover today, so like, yeah,
It
that.
might be helpful, again, to review it with him in the context of the whole plan.
Right.
Which I guess we are
Right.
starting to compile it all together to see
Right.
how it fits in the
Right.
rest of the plan that
Right.
might address.
Yes, and I think, I mean, but also to the finance or the environmental impact, I think those questions are a little less pertinent when you look at the housing production plan in the context of the comprehensive plan as a whole. You're like, okay, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, the housing production plan nor the LCP is really designed or intended to identify specific costs unless they're
Right.
known for infrastructure and capital facilities.
Right.
So, none of the towns that I've worked with so far have been able to, say it's going to cost X million dollars to solve your housing problem. It's like they, put approximate dollar signs like 1, 2, 3 or
Thank you.
something along those lines.
Down on it.
Very conceptual.
Yes.
At this level.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and so that's okay. And it's all important to address because we want it to be used.
One other financial point he made that should be of particular interest to Joyce and Francis, who's not listening, is that he said we shouldn't have affordable housing because it was going to hurt the schools by bringing in too many kids. So I
Which
don't
is-
think that's a commonly accepted opinion.
No,
No, well-
that's actually sort of the opposite in the sense of, that you need a certain number of kids to maintain
And-
the services, so.
And
Yeah.
And given the high school was built for 700 students and we're
Yeah.
significantly below that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we need the elementary school students to keep the teacher,
Well, he knows that, but that means we're gonna have to hire more teachers, and therefore it's gonna end up costing, our tax dollars are going up.
Okay,
So,
all right.
whatever.
But they're not going to be able to find a place to live, so that's why we need the affordable housing. Oh,
Onwards.
We forgot to make that point.
Onwards. Has anybody else, we may have to double back to this when Brian joins us. Has anyone else has been out socializing with their areas of subject matter expert? Anyone?
I go the 20th for Concom, right?
And I go about that same time frame for health.
Lovely.
And
And
we're
store.
trying to find a time to take the open space plan to the Real Estate and Open Space Committee too.
Okay.
But there needed to be a draft before we
Okay.
could do that.
So that's all in, then those will all be kicked to December as well. Should we, so item E is the governance. I didn't read Brian's text. He's gonna join us? He's coming?
You said he was, yeah.
Okay, so, is it okay if we skip over E on governance and?
We can do it either way.
Or do you wanna jump in? Let's do it.
Just
Let's
don't
do
know
it.
As far as, should we just look at the copy that you distributed through our email, or I don't know if it needs to be here?
I don't think so.
Mary and I think we can tell everything.
Nice,
that
you
Brian
do
was
it.
gonna say.
All right, let Brian come from Chatham. You do it.
Okay, so,
Grab it real quick.
Go ahead.
So I know where I'm going. Oh,
So, for the record, so governance is this very thing that we're talking about, is how you have this lovely plan that the town has invested significant financial and intellectual resources in. We have all invested significant intellectual volunteer resources in. We want it to be used. And so Mary and David and Brian have been working on the governance, and when we say that, we mean like implementation of the plan.
okay, so,
I got kicked off, so if you can just bear with me a moment.
Oh, it took me a while to get onto the internet.
is that what you sent out this afternoon?
No.
Yes, yesterday.
Yesterday, or Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the PowerPoint.
It's a PowerPoint.
It's a PowerPoint, yes.
oh, okay.
I've got it on PDF. I don't know if we can get that onto the screen somehow.
Let me see if I can get on there for you.
That'd be wonderful if we can forward it somewhere.
Proposal for LCP,
It is in the drive, if anybody really, it is in the.
Talk us through it.
The
Talk
Google
us through
Drive.
it. Tell us.
I'm gonna need, I can't bring it up, that's.
I'll be in the crowd. I'll
Do
put
you want a hard copy to work from?
That
Yeah,
helps.
Yeah.
Just to move it
The
along
old,
quick.
the old-fashioned way.
Yes, still works.
I normally do, but then I said, it's in the Google Drive, I can get it.
Yeah.
Brian and David and I, again, to just jump off of what Joyce was saying, as far as we know that from the outreach, everyone wants the efforts of the plan put in structure so that it is
Community
used
has
as
told us this,
a
thank you for your work and make
management
sure it gets
document
used.
moving forward.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
management document moving forward.
Yep.
So, looking at comparisons, as far as with other towns, I think we looked at Truro, we looked at Brewster as well. And we came up with something that, an idea of something that might be manageable and collaborative effort. So the objective is really to provide a sustainable mechanism, something that these local comprehensive plans are over a number of years. So we need to make sure that every year, or at least on some recurring basis, there is some accountability for its play within the management of government management. What the idea is that it provides a collaborative solution as far as recognizing the resources within the town government and what the community needs. We believe it taps into the spirit of community involvement because just the sheer fact we have a committee and we have a lot of community involvement. That's what Harwich is known for. Institutional memory. When it comes to that, what people understand, what they know, what they like the budget. They're going to go right to the budget and understand that and not have to revisit something. And they know, okay, this is the information and this is what's going to be actually looked upon. And also just having the idea, support that flexibility, that it is, Brian used the term a living document, that when it is a living document over a sustained number of years, you know that there has to be changes. Has to be changes, flexibility, accommodate current situations as we move forward. So with the idea and the structure, 3 components, a named governance body, the reporting methods, and the content itself. Moving forward, the proposed idea is actually to have a town committee. That is at some point a continuance of this committee here, being that it replaces or the formation, this committee here that was for the formation of the plan, now we have a committee that continues on and ensures I hate to use the word accountability, but just to ensure that it is, again, being used as far as a management
These are
tool.
opportunities where you could, okay,
Yes.
this is the issue before the town. This is
Exactly.
here is the best data, here
Yes.
was the thinking, here was the, here's
Absolutely.
a pointing the flashlight at the resource.
The members would be appointed by the select board and hopefully with some representation from the current committee right here. Also, with the inclusion of planning department staff, we need to have that open communication between town government and the committee itself. It would be strictly advisory only, no budget, and no direct authority. So it would continue on as an advisory capacity. The methods, just the general overall foundation or the thought process, it would be a summary report provided annually. It would have the foundation, hi Brian, have as its foundation.
Why don't you join the party?
You know,
Of course, we're glad you're here.
as its foundation would be the goals and the action plan. That is what would be, start with that manageable list of those town actions that we're looking for, we have been looking for. And we need to identify them, categorize them as far as immediate, short-term, long-term, so we can prioritize everything. And we word it in a method as far as those actions in a way that can be trackable. So within the LCP, it could be lined up in a, here's the objective, here's the need, here's the supporting document for the need, and having those action points and measurable action points, and then moving forward. Now, not all action points are going to be easily measured. We understand that. But at least it can have a verbiage that can be monitored. We can say, okay, this is the progression of this one, this is the progression, and that's what we can report back. when those actions, or whatever they are, we can actually present each one of them to a town board or a town committee, town departments, to actually be the responsible party of that said action. And to bring up the content, of course, specifics of progress. There's a matrix style. If we looked at two examples, again, Truro and Brewster. Brewster did have a matrix style, just here was the action, here's the status, here's the action, here's the status. It was a detailed type of table, but it doesn't need to be that comprehensive. I think that's not, just people want to know the progress. The recommended actions, making sure that they can be aligned with the town governing processes. Notably, that's what the committee will, be reporting on, working with, whether they align with the town meeting articles or the capital outlay plan. This committee would be responsible for ensuring that alignment. And then when the report is then distributed, it would be written and supported by user-friendly graphics, not just to have a report that's just posted for transparency, but to actually have it written in a way that it's easily, what's the word we use, consumable. Because that's really, to me, what transparency is, when the community can actually understand what is written and what is being done. We can use all sorts of technology. We can post to the dedicated committee webpage, and also any other types of social media or even just regular news media there. And
Just a clarifying question.
Yes.
The kind of checking is, it's an annual kind of, is that time frame what you're thinking?
the report itself would be distributed annually, but the actions of the committee would continue throughout the year as far as monitoring the progress.
We're just thinking like quarterly or what, what kind
Quarterly.
of.
We think this group would meet.
Okay.
They would
The new committee.
publish
Got it.
annually.
Got it.
And we thought that if we do a good job, which I know we will, of articulating all the action
They will.
then it wouldn't be so challenging to have to construct it. Because you'd actually be using that
Love it.
moving forward.
I love it. And I would add to, when you say consumable, it never fails to amaze me our town square of social media currently. No, I mean, both good, bad, whatever, everything, but like there's a lot of, that would be a very, you have a little report with some nice graphics and that goes out,
Exactly.
quarterly to the town square, so to speak.
The thought about this is
Yeah.
this group is not going to own. So somebody talk. It's not going to own prioritization per se.
No, yeah, it's just updates. Yeah.
But this it makes it more amenable to be to morph over time, because over the course of the 10 years plus that might be between LCDs, it's going to be to the advantage of the next group that follows us to have a mechanism by which they can track, and it'll be beneficial to the public where they can see where maybe priorities change, actions get changed.
Just the data as a repository is tremendous. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible resource of just to come back, okay, like what are the stats about this particular
Right.
issue here?
But
It's
it doesn't
amazing.
have, it doesn't
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
be
yeah,
in cement.
yeah.
It would be up to that committee
Yeah.
to figure out
Yeah.
how should it work.
Or maybe it's
So-
different. It highlights the change.
Well,
Can I ask
highlights
it?
the gaps, yeah.
Can I ask? I mean, I love the idea of I'm just in my mind. I'm thinking each section. I'm thinking like a Gantt chart and where our milestones are that we're accomplishing along the way, right? Like however you want to make it look.
You
But
almost had one in there too.
oh shit! We're thinking the same thing.
You
And-
nerds, two of you.
But like.
We wanted to just introduce this.
I know, but I'm curious about like when we say assign each action to the town boards, committees, and town departments. I mean, they would have to be willing to accept hey, this is what we think you guys are trying to do, right? Based on our plan and what we say
I
should
think
happen.
it's a gentle reminder, right?
Well,
Hey, yeah,
I think that's part of the integration. So
Sure.
what we're saying is, as we finish delivering the plan, and as the plan
And
gets
get them to say,
adopted,
"Yeah, that
that's
makes
part
sense."
of how the plan
Okay.
needs to get adopted. So we've become a mechanism of support for For Christine?
We're basically becoming like a single pane of glass to reflect back what's happening.
And to
Okay.
have this, or, the next steps is obviously about discussion with other committee members on the idea and how it integrates into the government structure. But to have this plan detailed with, this idea detailed within the plan itself, so that the community knows the
Exactly.
scope of what this committee's is to do and the performance of this committee, and have it in the plan so everybody knows this is what's going to happen in this manner for the next few
I think
years.
to add to that, our motivation for even getting together to talk about it is because we've heard it in every survey.
Absolutely.
That's,
We've
no,
heard it in every
no, and
What are you gonna do?
yeah.
That's what really jumped out at me when I read it. And I think you guys did a great job with this, by the way. I think it's clear, it's succinct, you've really conceptualized it effectively.
And
But-
digest.
But I think it needs a prologue or an introduction that reflects what we heard in the public hearing process, the visioning workshops and the survey and all of that, because
So Jim, I had,
it's like ghost voices. I think to sort of explain, well, why are we even talking about this? And, probably one of the most powerful messages we heard was that why do this unless you've really got a way to make sure that it gets used? And so I think, it would be so distracting.
I think we've also found with some other research that there are other examples, other towns that have done this kind of a committee, new formed to work together over the course of the life of the LCP. So it's not an unheard of concept.
No, but you're right that you'll need to get buy-in from the various groups that would be responsible for following up.
That's why the emphasis in the one slide, advisory only.
Right.
I forget
Right.
the exact words, but we
No
really wanted to
budget,
make that
no
point.
authority.
Right.
Yeah, right.
The committee would be just a reporting mechanism
Yeah.
for the status of those actions.
And it would be
Right.
visible to basically the constituents and the boards themselves.
Yes,
so that
instead of
everybody
the community trying to dig and
Like,
find
figure it
what's
out.
going
can-
on.
Yeah.
We're the conduit to allow the community to be able to easily track and see where it is.
Yeah.
But Margaret, when you talk about the buy-in, this is kind of the way I feel it, it's kind of a natural byproduct of the buy-in to the plan. So as the plan this plan is going to be successful if it finds its way into responsible parties' hands with end dates.
Yeah.
And at that point, this group is just trying to capture that information and track it.
Yeah.
Do you see as part of this advisory group, the department heads or representatives from each of the departments that are going to be impacted or have things to do?
I think communication, yes. Directly being on this advisory committee, no. I think the town planner should be. I think all the other department heads should have a lot of communication, just so there can be a back and forth. But this is a body that's just reporting. So,
We think part of our team should go to it.
Oh, absolutely. I think you need the continuity.
Is this a 10-year prison sentence?
That way, Mr.
Are we doing a
Chairman,
rotation? Are we doing a rotation? Like, what's the, how's time served?
Tapped out,
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
That's,
Well, if you go by age, some of us will be capped out.
Really?
But we're just pulling from the knowledge base.
No.
You have all
Yeah.
intimate knowledge of the plan, so it's a natural
Agreed.
progression.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. No.
Well, this brought up another thought for me, though, and Sharon, this affects the structure of the plan a little bit. One of the things, when I was thinking, well, we really need a prologue on this governance section, then I thought, we've sprinkled throughout the plan references to survey results and comments from the visioning workshops and
At
stuff.
our request.
Yeah,
Yes.
but would it be appropriate to have a standalone section in the plan that summarizes all of that?
Oh, I love
I
it.
do too,
Ooh.
like we heard you.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the data.
May
Yeah.
I speak to that?
I like that.
May I speak to that?
Mm-hmm.
Again, the jumping off point was, again, the comments of the planning board and the idea of what is the scope of the consultant's role?
Yeah.
And I have to say, I dug back and I got the original contract because I'm a year behind you all.
Yeah.
So I went
Now you're
back
ahead of
and
us.
I read the original contract to see what is that? What am I dealing with? And also, as far as even your question, as we're looking at the succession of narratives that come to us for review, I'm thinking, what is the deliverable? And I still don't know what the deliverable is.
I know, I-
Still, as far as, but even last week, according to the minutes, you had asked if 4 and 7, sections 4 and 7 could be combined, similar to what you were saying before, and I've seen it evidenced in other towns. And I would, for someone that does read everything and it gets to be overwhelming, I would love to see an actual final draft to us as to what everyone else is going to see, something in that format so I can digest it a little easier than just going through the narratives and seeing that and have those action plans. Because there is one point I wanted to show in the action plans we have. Under community design, I'm looking at what the actions are. And then I went, okay, then I had to go back to another section to pull, where did she pull it from? And you only pulled 3 bullet points of the 4.
To jump on that. So I think to keep the discussion, keep the discussion going forward. I think that would be, it's a relatively simple ask about the data, because I just to know how you grabbed it, in terms of. So thank you for that. I think we're probably transitioning away from
Yeah,
the
I'm sure.
governance onto the next
Yeah.
point of the agenda.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I just want to add to Margot's point.
All right,
We
and then
lost
we're
her
gonna move on it because we were getting off of the. Okay, so the data, I think it should be a relatively simple thing. Out of, I think you grabbed it in SurveyMonkey, right? Isn't it sitting in SurveyMonkey? I think it's the tool you used. The survey data. Yeah. It was sitting. So that's like I'm not going to minimize the effort, but it's collated in a pretty simple way that
And
like
you already-
Erica could.
You already did a report. I mean,
did.
yeah, so.
I think that would go a ton way to this socializing. I think that's really sad.
And where are you suggesting this go at the beginning?
I think it could be as a supplementary section, like
Appendix.
supporting plans and policies or something. I would just call it a separate section. Make it a supporting section. Like an appendix.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
Totally.
spot on, and I think that
We're
puts some of this dead in the water
That
discussion.
makes so
Like
much sense,
and that's why we were so rigorous about how we collected it. So. With that end, let's kind of jump into what we're supposed to be reviewing tonight. And I think I would propose that we've seen the whole thing, so to speak, right, Sharon?
Well, almost, I mean, it's.
What are we missing? Tell us.
Well, I mean, the actions you're seeing, you received this time around are really a first draft.
Okay,
first cut at
so we
actions.
can dug into targeted action plan. I love that.
That's new.
Yeah.
There is not a capital facilities plan yet.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's not, the introductory sections have not been completed.
And what by introductory you mean like planning process?
What is a comprehensive planning?
Got it,
planning
got it,
process,
got
get
it.
that commission.
And if anyone, if how you're looking at this, it helps me a lot. Word kind of defaults to different things. It's very helpful for me to see, just sharing amongst all the folks, the way Word can open it is have the sections, like what's the word? Yeah, the organization to the left, like just so you see.
Table of contents.
Yeah, the organization to the left and the document. I found that profoundly useful to review it, because otherwise I was very lost about how is this fitting in conceptually. So you can kind of toggle with your word.
Yeah, how do you get that view?
I'm
It's
gonna kick to
yeah,
Garrett
under
about
view.
that. I know. How they can get the view, so you can see the navigation bar on the
Yeah.
left.
Joyce,
Sharon,
if I could
Yes,
ask
please.
No, not that. Oh,
The
maybe
other,
it's not, yeah.
Might not
sort
be
of,
view.
I would say that the action, target, section 7 is really in a very early
All
draft
right.
form. So what you've been talking about implementation, who takes over from here, how do these things go forward? There is some narrative around that is usually a joint exercise between the committee, the town planner, and ourselves as to really how will the plan be implemented. It's a little different in every town, depending on where the town governance structure is.
Yeah,
at.
well,
So-
let's
So this is
yeah.
not, that's
Got
not
it.
complete.
No, it's great. It's super helpful. So let's talk about it. I went through with a fine tooth comb today from section 1 through section 3. I sent you all a document. The track act changes are on there. I don't have to get into the weeds about it. I don't think it's anything controversial at all. It just reads a little more Harwich, and it reads a little more. I was trying to, at some key moments, a little more focus on the people. Like I totally get it as a document, like what we're trying to accomplish here around stuff, but given on what folks have told us in the community, I kind of,
Terrific.
yeah, and then they're, a little more focused on the humans. I would like to bring here to the discussion something that we started to touch on last time, and then Mary and Margot, we were just all getting into it a little bit. The separation between community goals and the targeted action plan, and some sort of the pros and cons, because to me it's challenging to see the goals separate from the action plan.
Thank you, Joyce. Yes, it's the organization.
And then I'm kind of like stuck on, well, the infrastructure plan and the housing production plan summary, sure. They feel a little like wedged in there. And I wanted to open it to discussion because I know the structure matters and how this thing is used. What the pros and cons might be of putting the actions next to the goals. And if we all might spontaneously combust if we do that. Yeah.
If some of you have been looking at other plans, Town of Brewster, I believe, did exactly that, and perhaps more. And and they actually put it towards the front of the.
Yeah,
So
I had that
it
thought
goes
too.
right to that. And honestly, that's what, you
I
could
wondered
create
about
a-
that
too.
create
Same
that
thing.
for your town meeting and bring that as a handout for town meeting as well.
I mean, I think that goes well with kind of what we're trying to do
Yeah.
with the governance too, because it's like you start with the date and you work backwards to really set what you're trying to do.
Exactly, and that's what I was really, when I was
Yeah.
not trying to go off topic, but
Oh, yeah, I
trying to
got it.
say,
No,
as
totally.
far
Yeah.
as with
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
governance
yeah.
structure to work, or the town committee, we need to have this original document organized in a way that it can be easily pulled from.
So I would propose then, again, if this is heresy, I'm sorry to the professionals in the room, we all just get struck by lightning, but I would propose, and we can discuss it, that the section 4 and section 7 be merged and it get moved to after section 2.
Not heresy at all.
And I think, you get in, what is it? You get the vision, you get the growth policy, and then you get the bullet points. And if you really want to dig in, then you get the narrative in section 3, which is spectacular, by the way. You guys have done
Yes,
a
the narrative's
tremendous
wonderful.
amount of work. Like just the
Yeah.
data that was in there is like, but then it's a pyramid.
That could almost be appendix too.
I mean, I don't care what you call it. I don't want to make an appendix, but yeah.
But if
But
the
it will
other
end up
is-
reading as an appendix. You're like, okay, well, they want to do this. Why? Then you can kind of dig a little deeper into.
No, we definitely can do that, and we just provided it in this form.
Yeah, no, I
just
get-
so
yeah.
you know what the content should be.
Yeah,
And then
no, I
in terms of
agree.
arranging it, it's completely up to you.
And it makes sense then to have like infrastructure plan, the housing production plan. I think our data goes a long way too. I know, David, you're a professional ed. Are you offended by that?
No.
No, I've got a different angle, but I agree with all that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you know, I think the merged 4 and 7 goes nicely after section 2,
Yeah.
but possibly section 3 should go between 1 and 2.
The only thing about that is it's dense.
Right.
It's it's hard to consume. It's gorgeous. I really enjoyed it. I was like really nerding out today on this nice fall day reading all about Harwich, but like it's I mean, I guess we can live to fight another day about that and see how it flows ultimately, but we're making some progress here to like merge these. Yeah.
If I could, we have already engaged our designer to start the layout, so I would hope by next month we could give you a feel of what that might look like.
Yeah.
You know, with this new order for
Yeah.
all of you. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can, and again, these are, you know, you can move things around as you need to.
What I found in the Brewster plan, it was much more readable, the way that they repackaged all the issues. I think what you're getting at is hopefully a step towards that.
Yeah.
Because right now ours is wordy.
Yeah, it's dense. Yeah.
And I think Brewster sort of found a way to hit the highlights, and I think they ended up with a more readable package.
Yeah. Well, it also, I mean, my gut is that you kind of need the description of the community first, so that you've sort of set the scene, and then the goals goals and actions and so forth grow out of that. But the truth is that most people are not going to read this whole plan anyway.
Right.
And so what you need is a really good executive summary that pulls out the important stuff that people will really care about.
Yeah.
And because that's what they'll read.
Yeah, and I hear you. Section 3 is where really the meat is, and it's gorgeous. You know, it's all the number of ponds, the water. I mean, like really, it's gonna have to go late. You know, it's the supporting documentation.
Yeah.
But
Would there be a PowerPoint companion to this
think
depth
so.
of Word document? Because that might be where that executive summary brings this to life. Because it's too much for the average reader to get to understand what the actions are.
Well, I mean,
And that's what Brewster did. They do an
They did that, I believe, for bringing it to the planning board.
Sure.
select board,
That's what I was
town
gonna
meeting.
say.
So a
Yeah,
companion.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah. A good example, just colloquially, I think it's great that we got like kind of like kicking the tires here, how this is being used, you know, with Duncan Berry, who, you know, I know there's a lot of things in here that would go to his concerns around like architecture and community and history and things like that, but it wasn't necessarily consumed. Yes, it's a great example of like, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's got to be put forward more clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't
yeah.
just be finding bits and nuggets.
Right. I think let's try it. I think we have a consensus of putting the actions again, you know, with the goals, community goals, targeted action plan. That should be merged. 4 and 7. It sounds like we're living to fight another day to decide about what order, but that needs to be one
With
section.
that order, but
Yeah.
also to Ed's point and to the fact that not everyone really reads the background information.
Took
but
me all
Is there
day.
some way in the reformatting of that
Yeah.
to let them know that, is there something, a link that be, or an introduction to this information that leads them to? Is there something, a link or something that, because my question was, wow, how did they get to this action point? And I'm not saying that everyone is going to think that,
Yeah.
but when you put it like that and you go, okay, well, here's that's how they came to this conclusion.
Yeah.
It's relevant information, what's in section 3. It is very comprehensive,
Oh,
very
yeah.
relevant.
Yeah.
But to your point, no one's gonna really read it,
It's-
but they need to know how it ties
Yeah, so
into
that's
the end
what,
result.
so being able to get to it, and I mean, it's a very important data collection, and I mean that truly. Like, maybe the biggest gift of all of this is like, oh, hey, you can actually go and look at this and see what was water quality here. You know, like, I mean, it's an amazing compendium of information.
Well, it's all in one place for a change.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
hardest section to write is going to be the executive session.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But that's where,
Yeah.
Please, Sharon,
That
yes.
generally comes at the end.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
another thing we can do in the document, and I'm not sure, we won't have it for
Yeah.
next month, but you can think about are use of like sidebars, little call-outs, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring out key points in that section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the dense existing
Yeah.
condition stuff. And that, you know, that the reader will gravitate to those. So thinking about, if you all can think about kind of what would you want, you know, 2 or 3 points in each section to say for next time, that'd be great.
That style, I think, humanizes the
Yeah.
document.
Yeah. Just one nitpicky point, which I think could help with some of the readability, is somebody needs to do a copy editing job that goes through and in every section, when you use acronyms, you have to spell out the acronyms at the beginning of that section, because people will not remember from one section to another. So you're talking about the hazard mitigation plan, and you're talking about, you know, there's zillions of them in here, and it's easy for, I mean, even for me, knowing most of what these things are, you know, going through, it's like, what does that refer to? I mean, it just, people get confused. So that's just, again, it's just a copy editing thing.
And also, we could do something like commonly used terms, although that can get a little, you know, that can get away from you, because then it's like, well, where do you stop?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if there's like report acronyms or something
Yeah.
like that, we can think about
Yeah.
ways of presenting that.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to throw in one other point to consider. On the action items themselves, I think in some places there's too much, in some places too little.
Can we dig into them? Do you want to do it?
I just want to make one point, and then
Please.
I'm just going to give an example.
Please.
And I'm thinking of this in line of, if there's a governance committee, what is it going to be tracking? So when I see continue to work with the Cape Cod Commission to complete pond profiles, continue to implement the town's MS4 program, was just saying a whole bunch of items that are just continue doing something. I don't think that's a trackable sort of thing. And maybe there's one section of everything you continue doing, but as far as the things you're going to track, I don't think those, I think that's taking up a lot of space that doesn't need to be in a targeted action plan.
You're saying it's like white noise.
I do.
well, it's
I
a
think
role
that-
description.
I think there's a lot of white noise. And I think that, on the other hand, where there is not enough, I remember in either Truro or Brewster, they talked about, and I always bring back housing, always talking about meeting the needs of all levels of the community. So there are a number of things that we could get into in more detail. The fact, one of the biggest changes in Harwich is that we're becoming more and more of a seasonal community, with people buying up homes and just renting them for seasonal use, and just taking things out of the housing stock. And we're building multi-million-dollar homes. So there are trends there that are changing the character
I
of this
did
community.
add some of that.
Okay, so
I
I'm
did add
saying,
in a few well-put sentences in my deep dive today. I did get some of that in there.
as one example, I'm not going to go into all
Yeah.
of them. Our housing consultant talked about the regulation of seasonal rentals. Now, that's a very tough thing for a community to take on. It was done, I think, in Great Barrington and maybe in one of those ski towns in Colorado. So it's not an easy thing to do, but it's the sort of thing that somebody ought to at least think about.
I think we've talked about I think we should.
Considerations, yeah.
Considerations. So can we get to the targeted action plan? Did I lose the targeted action plan? I had the target.
Section 7.
Section
seven.
Sail home.
I saw a bunch of things in blue.
And that's at the beginning of that section, so just keep in mind that, oh, I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's actually, the blue is beyond it. It's just.
Where did
it's
all
silver.
the crazy dense stuff go?
It should be right under section 7,
Sorry about that.
my page 63. It starts with changes to bylaws, ordinances.
That's where I'm reading from.
Yeah.
And then right below that is land use / growth management. Did you
I
see
might
that?
have.
Yeah.
I might have.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's
And
control
land use
7.
growth
There it is.
management as another example of what.
Okay.
noise-
Oh, wow.
Let me
Okay.
just finish what I'm starting to say in a sentence.
All right, now we're in it. Okay.
The land use growth management only talks about the open space, the Six Ponds DCPC. There are a heck of a lot more land use and growth considerations.
All right, let's
and
dig
that
into
simply
it.
doesn't reflect.
Let's dig into it. Well, she was saying, David, that it's it's a draft. This is tentative. So this is tentative. So I think this is where we should focus our remaining 51-minute souls, is on this targeted action plan and try and get through as much as possible, because there's some things that I would actually strike from down here farther on, and let's try and get in as much as possible. Let's throw it all at the wall, with the understanding that it's gonna get merged with community goals. So for land use growth management, throw it at it, David. More things.
Land use growth, growth management is, you try to not to allow any growth, I understand that part. But land use is, concentrate on the villages, and it's partially shown under community design. I would put it more under trying to develop the villages and trying to focus your growth in certain places.
For community design, I think you threw it at it here, and I know this is off to, I think we had this is on the records, in the minutes, we have said somewhere, consider or evaluate short-term rental regulation. That's a neutral thing.
So for growth, concentrating growth in village centers, I think we did propose something along the lines of look at developing a village center bylaw, so allowing mixed use. Are there other, so if you want to be, here is where you really finally want to be specific.
Yeah.
Because that's a great policy, to concentrate growth in villages, but then
Yeah,
how
so
do
put
you-
it
how
here.
do
So
do it?
can you
Yeah.
say, consider, and we all understand, we that may end up being a bad idea when you take it through the wash, but there's nothing wrong with saying consider or evaluate.
The new bill that was just passed that we heard about.
Yeah.
Housing. Are there some things in there that are just
yeah.
good considers? Like, I thought I heard something about municipal housing. Transfer tax on large homes. But I wonder if that gives us an opening to add a few very tactical.
Is this from the CWMP?
No, the housing bond.
No,
bill.
the new housing bill.
Starter home, the
Oh,
starter
sorry.
home.
So
building
maybe we
district
even want to
and
reference it. We should be timely. Just even you could be as consider best practices from.
Well, that is in the housing production plan.
Oh, good.
And that's one of the concerns I had with that is, why am I blanking out on the consultant's name?
Karen.
Karen, thank you. She specifically, after hearing Joe Powers talk about
Yeah.
that section at our session, she put that in as the lead way of dealing with density.
What's it?
That's only
It didn't jump
the,
out in
the
this
starter
section.
home zoning district. So that's a specific recommendation in the housing production plan that may or may not be the best strategy.
Right. I think that's what I mean, and you don't have to nail ourselves to it, because then you're setting yourselves up for dismissal, right? But because maybe it comes out it's not but you can say. Yeah.
I'm looking at the overall language of it, and that, again, a lot of these, and I understand first draft
Yeah.
and everything, but it's so open-ended that it's, because as far as what David says, it's difficult to track. What is the feasibility on certain items in here. When you say consider, you can use the word consider, but put a timeline on it. Say within, by
Well, this is kind of
12
where your
months.
this is kind of where your governance committee comes in.
But
But
well,
it's
so it
gotta-
doesn't have to be, but something that just doesn't have, it seems everything is open-ended. And so I can just put this on the shelf and consider everything, I looked at it, I considered it. It's so open-ended, the verbiage is not strong. If we put an actual action with a definitive goal and step, because you have a goal and then you have steps towards that goal. So kind of put it in similar to that, so that there can be markers of progress. It doesn't have to be exact.
Or it doesn't
I'm
have to
just
be
saying.
everyone, but there
No,
needs to
it
be
doesn't.
something.
There has to be something to kind of shore it up a little tighter, so it's not so free. Free will.
Can we jump around a little bit?
So, going back up to under the action points under natural resources, one of them is continue to implement the town's MS4 permit for stormwater management. Well, the major, item that they do is redoing the stormwater facilities in town, and they have a whole plan. And so, continue to make a yearly advancement on
What did they do?
whatever 10% of the identified stormwater implementation, or something like that, something that's more measurable. So when you come by to review it at the end of the year, well, you only did 5%
I know, that's why, it's because she's working
of
with
the
us.
units, rather than,
Well, there's a couple that do
Yeah.
lend itself that are written right here to metrics, to develop
Yeah.
land management plans.
yeah, yeah.
Can we jump down a little bit to community facilities, services, and infrastructure?
Sure.
An easy strike that I don't think we just need to go out on this limb is the child care center. That's not, it's not applicable to Harwich, for a variety of reasons.
Where is this?
Under community facilities, services, and infrastructure, that should come out.
Suggested
No.
and
Yeah,
left
that's a
it's a
political suicide. Yeah, take it out. Just because there's some businesses in town that meet that need. The other thing is so perform elementary school maintenance, sure, but
What's that all about?
So
There is maintenance.
Yeah.
Why is that in a? I don't.
So
I don't get
okay,
that one at all.
so that doesn't and again my sections 1 through 3 I fleshed that out with that. It's about like the schools and stuff like that. I think community facilities, services, and infrastructure, probably a better way of saying it is because there's a nuance to that. Continue to maintain the elementary school and invest in the Monomoy Regional School District facilities. And that is complicated, right? Because, I think we're going to be facing down like $9 million with the middle school. And there's some politics there about the percentage of what Harwich is putting in and Chatham is putting in based on population and things like that. So it's not, that was actually, my one criticism of the plan is we probably thought about the schools, which I tried to fix a little. I mean, we don't have to, they got their own issues, but this is an opportunity to say, hey, that we are including the youth and stuff like that. So it's not just the elementary school.
Under community facilities, services, and infrastructure, a child care center would be a community facility, but having as a goal monitoring and assisting in the provision of that there's adequate
Love it.
child care.
Love it. I think we're and that
Child care services available.
and that
is-
stands
is-
on the shoulders of what's being we're
Yeah.
trying to support. There's been community preservation funds appropriated at town meeting for preschool for families able to get preschool. So that's a better way of, so what Ed said, as opposed to building a child care center.
Couldn't quite get it in.
Well, you know, it's not so much the facility, but, you know, monitor and assist in ensuring that childcare services are available throughout the town for those who need. You know, and how you do that is, you know, you do it by.
So how it's being done now
combination,
is like with vouchers that then supports like
Yeah.
small businesses in town that provide that care and stuff like that. So that's why we don't want to say we're going to build the center and put them out of business.
On
Yeah.
this topic.
Yeah.
Just, I want to give a little feedback from the meeting that I had with the ministers. You
Oh
know,
yeah, good. Yeah.
And they're working on services themselves, and
Yeah.
building that as part of the vision and part of the
Yeah.
ministries.
Yeah.
And the thought occurred as we were in that discussion that, like, we talk about public-private
Yeah.
Partnerships.
approaches to
Yeah.
housing.
3 Ps.
Why not public-private, when you start thinking about community services?
So that's maybe it's a great example. You can expand that
You know, we-
language there to say, you know, that supports existing community efforts at addressing
Embrace
these.
it.
Yeah.
And with
'Cause-
childcare, given the vouchers that we give out, we are already in a public-private.
Correct, but I'm
right,
saying
right.
with some of that, you
No.
have some of the churches. that
Or
they
there's
wanted that
brilliant, you know, the
come part way.
Pilgrim Congregational provides a really valued service amongst the elementary school folks with a little bus that sends them over there and they do, you know, and
Every day.
that's at the end of the day, I mean, that is in addition to
So I
other
just wanna
services that are
kind of
available.
give it-
Yeah, a little
give
shout out.
Credit, and
Yeah.
maybe that's the spirit that we're trying to
Love it.
propel.
Love it.
So-
Love it.
Sharon, are you following this?
I think so. Let me know.
Yeah, we'll fix it. We're getting it all. We're throwing it at the wall. We'll fix it. And you know,
Maybe a work in progress.
yeah, no.
I'm
And
getting-
it was easy to do in the sections. It was in the sections 1 through 3. It was easy. It was, you guys have done such an amazing job. It was kind of easy to correct, or it was obvious where you needed to add some of that flavor. Yeah. So we'll do that here.
Okay.
That was an easy one for me.
If I just, one other one in
Yeah,
that,
well, let's finish community facilities, service, and infrastructure. Dig in there.
where is it? I just saw it. Oh, construction of sewers in Harwichport?
I know, is that a thing?
I
That's what
mean,
people talked about in the workshops, that's
It
what we
is,
all
yeah,
got.
there are some of these were gleaned directly
Yeah.
from the workshops.
Is
It
that
looked
a,
familiar.
does that
Yeah.
fit the, does
It's
that
not
fit
very
the, I'm looking at you two over there, my sewer queens.
That and sidewalks everywhere.
Yes, does that make sense? I mean, does that pass muster? We can just strike some things.
Well, from an environmental standpoint, it should be the first thing.
Of course.
But realistically, I mean, we're gonna be pushing up daisies before we get sewers in Harwichport.
but I think,
I don't know which phase the Harwich Port is in of the wastewater plan.
4.
4?
4 and 9.
All right, so I think
Yeah.
if there's a plan, then we don't need to jump by that plan. They're not like getting such,
Yeah.
there's not new data here,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
Yeah, cut that up.
Well,
But,
no,
but you might want to say something less specific, but which ties into the land use piece of this, which is to say prioritizing, sewer installations in areas designated for higher density development.
yeah.
You know,
But we also have to add to that the fact that the sewer plan has to be amended,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because right now it won't allow what you just said.
right.
So we have to put in our recommendations
Right.
that someone needs to take a look at that.
yeah, yep.
So, I agree with you, because
Yeah.
I look at, I look at Harwichport and they're really, where would you put higher density development? I mean, i.e., what are you gonna tear down? Because there's literally
No
no
place
space.
left, right.
Yeah.
Whereas in another village center, here, there are areas close into the center that have the capacity to have higher density without tearing anything down,
Right.
except clearing some land.
Right.
that's a whole nother issue, but.
Selective clearing,
you know,
Ed.
You know, but it's sort of, to do that higher density development, it's sort of dependent on getting sewer capacity.
Is the sewer capacity, does that open up the ability for like the restaurants, the bars? Because I feel a lot of them
Yes.
like have a ton of waste, right? Because they can't wash dishes. Don't they have to use like
Yeah, it's a
paper
terrible rule.
plates and plastic and
That was the case in,
it limits their seating
before the
capacity,
seal, well, it limits their seating capacity.
Does it have anything to do with
But the seal did the investments, made it so that they don't have to use paper and plastic stuff. They're using china and glass glasses
I
and.
What
feel
did
like
they have
every
to do?
restaurant down there.
Huh?
What did they have to do?
Yeah, what do they have to do?
They had to make some improvements to, and to their tanks, their leach tanks and their.
So the
pumping
actual
It's like a
schedule.
little,
septic.
it's like a little baby package
Yeah,
plant
yeah.
that they had to
No,
have,
no,
like the
it was-
port.
It wasn't that.
Well,
but
not-
But they had to upgrade, they had to
They had
upgrade
to
of some
upgrade
sort.
Yeah.
some of the tanks and increase their pumping schedule to turn it over. And then the other thing they did is they had to bring in automatic dishwashers, which save a tremendous amount of water use.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is they ran 6 months of water monitoring, and they were below consistently, even through the summer months, the maximum gallage.
So does
they-
the lack of space in Harwich Port limit that ability for those restaurants and bars to do it? Like, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about the sewerage, like, doesn't that solve that problem?
Can the Harwich Port ones do the same thing that the seal did?
Like, could they physically do it?
Some of them have.
Some of them have.
some of
yeah,
them have.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But, the other side of it is, you look at most of the restaurants in Harwich Port, the hot stove, with the port, Three Monkeys or whatever it is. In terms of our CWMP, treating their sewage actually has no impact on reducing nitrogen in the embayments.
Right.
Because it doesn't go there.
Doesn't head out
Doesn't
to,
go there.
right.
So
Yeah.
why, that's the other reason, why are we pushing sewering Harwich Port to I think, if
So
you're gonna
it
push.
can come out. It's
Yeah.
we understand the sentiment,
But
but
I-
it's a little
But
misguided.
I think there
Yeah.
should be something like puts in along the line of what Margot indicated. And maybe you could write something up to,
Yeah, I mean, I think David's got a good point that in order to try to prioritize specific locations for sewering, you have to look at, take a fresh look at the wastewater plan and see if there are changes that are needed in it. So, I mean, maybe that's really,
That might be your
Well,
recommendation.
that might be the recommendation, yeah,
It's
yeah,
a review for that purpose,
Yeah.
by a certain date.
yeah.
well, and the other thing, given that we have with the zero interest SRF program, we're flow neutral. So if we are going to increase density in, say, Harwich Center, that density has to move out of
Somewhere
some
else.
other watershed.
Right.
And those are the changes that has to happen, the major changes that has to happen to the CWMP.
So there's
But if we want to have affordable housing projects
Yeah,
in the villages,
yeah,
and then if any of those are served by sewer, there should be a means to allow that to happen.
yeah.
And we shouldn't say that you can't be on sewer. So
Well,
it's
you
going
know,
to require some action.
Well, right now, with East Harwich and the sewer along 137, that village center is pretty much ready and able to take up increased density. The question is, where do you move the density out of,
Yeah.
digging into this section, just so we can try and get some meat on the section here in the last 30 minutes. So community facilities, service and infrastructure. All right, the townwide community facilities inventory, sure. Review utilization and current programming of the 204, identify additional program needs and opportunities, sure. We already fleshed out the school, how that's a little more nuanced, but it's incredibly important, right? That's incredibly important. I bang on this drum all day in that to have Harwich has a highly attractive school system,
But
which
is
is
there
good.
anything we can put that's measurable and has time dimension to it, rather than just continue? Just,
I think it's, I would sort of say it's like priority, because, for example, what's going to come? The middle school is going to need some capital investment, okay. And there's going to be this slog at town meeting about, how they're going to fund that. And, I mean, I think it'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like just recognizing
So
that
it's
it's like kind of
really-
stating this is like a priority, right? Like, I think that, but
So we should talk about the need to have a well-rounded community. One of the key elements is schools.
I put it
We
earlier.
need to talk
Yeah.
about the main bullets that are going to be needed
Yep,
to keep schools an effective part of our community.
right.
I may not have seen all the lead-in, but when I just see perform elementary school maintenance, those aren't the right words to get at.
Yes,
that
well,
sort of thing.
remember, it's gonna sit with goals, and it's gonna sit with goals, hopefully. And we have made a pass on the meat of 3 of making that better. So point well taken. Okay, the simple thing here, conduct a feasibility study of the potential for a community swimming pool. Can we?
That was basically.
Yeah. Can we I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Have a feasibility study and consider outside collaboration, or the idea is that there are other I mean, that may end up going in at the Brewster Sea camps, but there's like no, it's not happened.
No,
It's dead. Ed's always got his finger on the pulse. But like outside, you want the news, ask Ed. Outside partnership.
but does it belong up in the goals as more of an EG than a tactical?
No, I actually think it is. That's going to come for us. That's going to come and again. And yeah, I mean, I don't. There's always cost to a survey or a feasibility study or whatever, but like I don't think that's crazy in saying that that's a potential action plan. We would be the
Shutdown list.
rec commissioner. I mean, it may not be a good idea. It may you may do the numbers and it's not right, but
So you're suggesting that we actually have that in there as an action?
I don't think that's. Do anyone? I mean.
I think, to do a feasibility study.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Run this down. This has been going around since they built it. I mean, right? I mean, no one dies. Like,
feasibility.
yeah. It's not saying we need to build the pool. It's there are enough pros for it. I think probably that it's worth thinking about. I'm not saying I even support it, but just
As is explained to every newly elected legislature, if you don't get what you want this year, there's always next.
and I'm not. I think this is well worded here, and I think the outside collaboration is potentially a thing because there has been various ways of maybe skinning that. We struck the Harwich, we nuanced out the constructions of sewers in Harwich, and that's probably going to go somewhere else maybe. I love the dump, transfer station improvements. Oh, that's
Just
so
throw the
good.
word implement in front of there, because it
Implement transfer station
Yeah.
improvements.
Yes.
And then we nuanced out childcare. Nice. Is there anything else we need in community facilities, services, and infrastructure?
May I circle right back to community design, just one point?
You want to go up to community design? Let's do it. We haven't dug into it.
There's
Community design, there's only 3.
Three, but
You hit it, Mary. There's a 4th. I know you want a
it's that
4th.
fourth one because it's a sensitive point. When I looked back,
I love it.
it was the one that was omitted was revisit the East Harwich design study. And that's
I
a,
was
Yeah.
informed at the last meeting to take that out.
Oh,
I thought we
ah.
said to consider, revisit it, and then consider it for other,
Whoa, I'm
Other villages.
confused.
that's what I
are
thought.
we considering, are we revisiting?
Did this group say that?
Yeah,
I concur.
With what?
Yeah, just concur, I concur.
I have to admit, I've never fully understood the politics of it all, because there's so much history there. I defer to David and Ed.
Oh, it's pretty
and
easy.
Alejandro and-
I,
Don't allow growth, and that, so unless you have very strong controls to accompany any increase, then it's not gonna pass.
that,
Increase in what? I
what,
missed the thread.
what defeated it was
Oh.
that the planning board didn't support doing the offsets. And
Yeah.
the people in East Harwich who had really come up with this plan had envisioned it as you transfer some potential density from the Six Ponds area into East Harwich and have higher density development around the village center there.
Yeah.
And the way it was presented to town meeting was without any of the offsets. And so all of the people who had originally supported it opposed it at town meeting.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Because it was going to be too much growth.
Yeah,
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 you know.
yeah.
And to implement any of it, it was going to take 2/3 of a vote.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clear, it was never, it was barely going to get a majority, much less 2/3.
Yeah.
With the understanding that it is a sensitive
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
You tell me and then I forget, because I'm scared of it, yes.
The matter
Yes.
is, it's in the action plans and it's still in section 4.
Got it.
So how do you
Yeah, we gotta take it.
negotiate that?
Because we were talking sewers, we were talking about where it are, we're talking about the load and the numbers. Is it in community design, I mean, in the context of Marceline happening, whatever is gonna happen with Pine Oaks, it sounds like there is some thought that there should be some more density in East Harwich.
Yeah, and,
That is
I
a
think-
place, that is a village center
I
that has
think that-
sewer.
yeah, and I think that there could be political support for that if there are appropriate offsets, and that could be open space acquisition, it could be
So maybe,
downzoning,
maybe this
it
is
could
what
be
you
a-
say, this is
you know,
what you said,
yeah.
reconsider
Yeah.
East Harwich as a location for, higher density, affordable, and attainable housing
Yeah, I mean, it's,
with appropriate offsets around open
Yeah,
space
yeah.
conservation.
it's even more sensitive now
Yes.
because
Yes.
of the sort of trophy home
Yes.
subdivisions that have
Yes.
been going up in
More
East
density
Harwich.
going in.
Stripping
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So,
But wasn't there another part of that study? It was kind of the spirit of how you build around and support that density. So
Yes.
You can't
Yeah.
just say,
Yeah.
do density in East Harwich.
Build it and they
Part
will
of that-
come.
Yeah.
That was more of a comprehensive.
And to
Yeah,
build, I
yeah.
mean, this is to build I mean, when you
That's-
look at where you're like, oh gosh, there's nice sidewalks, you can walk to a grocery store, you
Yeah.
can walk to CVS, this is, you could.
Restaurants.
yeah, there were,
David credit,
there were
that was-
roadway improvements
There
and
was a lot of
sidewalks
vision
and,
about this,
and
this
some,
could be a lovely
some-
village.
some
with
roads-
The right,
some bypass roads for the main intersection. There was, I mean, it was a whole,
yes.
It's very nice.
Yes.
It's very
Yes, so I don't know, how do we, maybe we can
Yeah.
say in community design, like, revisit that vision.
well, I think it's certainly, yeah, I think we should keep it in there.
But I think you have to elaborate it, you have to
Yeah.
elaborate on it.
But I also thought, in the same spirit, wouldn't we also want something similar for Harwich Center?
But I think it's,
That's
East
sewer.
Harwich is special,
Well,
because
it
there's
is special
sewer,
for-
yeah.
Well, but also,
And maybe part of the problem too is trying to better define what we mean when we say East Harwich.
are we talking about the village
Yeah,
area, or are we
yeah, are you-
talking
yeah,
on the Brewster border?
yeah, because there's, I mean, it's a big area,
I was thinking of-
and
I
there
was
is.
thinking like the
Okay.
car dealership there.
Yeah, well, exactly, exactly,
right,
and I
right,
think,
right. It's not a.
I don't think anybody ever
Lumberyard, yeah.
wanted there to be just high-density development all throughout East Harwich. I think they were talking about the village center
Yeah,
there.
right.
And,
Putting the residential sort of back behind, you know, the parcels that may.
yeah, and
that
as
run
we've,
on 137.
you know, as we've talked about before, there's that whole huge sandpit area up there that is empty, no trees. You wouldn't have to cut down a single tree, and you could build a lot of housing in there
Yeah.
and hook it into the sewer, you know?
So how do we put that in there? All right, community design. Good
You're
point.
welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Advancing discussion.
Yeah.
Anybody else need anything in community design?
The cynic in me says, well, we write it up, we put it in, and then we take the noose, and we put it around our neck and so.
But no,
Yeah, yeah,
You're very honest.
yeah.
Could we put pursue infrastructure improvements such as additional sidewalks, parking, and wastewater in village centers? Could we also put, what's the professional word for like, beautification? You know, there's a way of making it,
Streetscape?
yes. Yeah.
Beautification is,
You know,
Yeah,
there's a way of,
yeah.
you make it look nice. Develop design guide.
The town used it for, you know, a storage area for equipment. when
Anything,
they were
community design,
doing
need anything
sewer
else?
work. So it's all been cleaned out,
Do we
all the old
want
stump
to pass
dump
my
and
point
stuff is
about
gone.
doing it
It's
for
amazing.
other villages, or is this, I just hesitate to have this only be. That's not federal.
Is there a way to put it all, to negotiate with a special, like, consider it all villages, but with the, because Harwich is, I mean, well, Harwich is sort of happening,
Well-
West Harwich is sort of happening, because the sewer's gonna come through there, you know, but,
But there was a plan that was in that East Harwich study, that I guess maybe that in my mind, all of any villages that are gonna go through development should have
Well,
a forward-thinking plan like it was set up to do.
It's just, there's very different circumstances for each village.
Plan is
Now,
plan.
earlier this evening, Ed distinguished between Harwichport and Harwich Center, as far as there being some available land near Harwich Center to be able to do something with. There's a smaller jump, though, from Harwichport to Harwich Center than from Harwich Center to East Harwich. There's so much land in East
I'm not
Harwich.
talking about one plan that covers both. I'm saying, for what we're describing, like execute a portion of that plan, build, palette, provided a guide for density and development. Why wouldn't we do that same concept in other villages that we're trying to do?
do a
or
plan
build out?
for Harwich Center and,
Do one for
That's what I'm
four
saying.
And-
Do one for the next logical village that we want to work
and
with.
with the West Harwich DCPC, sort of the rudiments of.
it's
laid
sort of
out.
happening,
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
sewer's coming through there, Davenport's coming from
But-
church, you know.
But it's
That's a more
happening by
unified
inertia,
approach.
not by, right, beautification.
Yeah.
not-
And it's not taking into the
Sidewalks,
holistic
restaurant.
idea of the plan.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
I see
trying
what
to
you're
say.
saying.
Yeah.
Now, in certain areas, like South Harwich, I don't,
Yeah.
it's,
It's not as
Yeah.
pertinent.
South
It's-
Harwich,
And-
North,
It's where
North
things are
Harwich.
It's not
happening.
as
Get out
pertinent.
ahead of it and build a
Design for the future.
design,
Yeah.
exactly.
We kind of said that last time, we're gonna have to come back,
Yeah.
throw it all at the wall, Sharon.
There's actually something in the Cape Cod Commission's, in the economic development, regional economic development strategy that talks about providing technical assistance to the towns to pursue more village center development. I mean, they've been trying to do that since-
Forever.
So leverage that.
There is like in.
so, I mean, you could just say
In the
it,
economic development plan, there's a proposal to do that, so a recommendation strategy action could be to pursue technical assistance from the Cape Cod Commission to develop
Amazing.
land use master plans,
Love it.
conceptual plans for other village centers.
Yeah, that's
Love
great.
it. She
That
just
that'd
wrote
be
it.
great.
Oh, yeah.
this is for the town of
And just-
Harwich,
yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to individual
Yeah.
villages for the
Well,
town.
just take what Sharon said and make it Harwich, is that I think you can say that North Harwich, South Harwich, and Pleasant Lake are a lower category. And I think plans can be developed for West Harwich and Harwich Center.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think you can make the comment that
just-
Harwich Port is probably more maintenance than anything else, and that East Harwich has to be looked at more carefully than any of the others because of the fact that there's sewer and the fact that there's so much.
Yeah.
But these are some of the main considerations, including offsets. So I think you need to not treat every village as an opportunity,
Right.
but maybe have 3 tiers.
I
Yeah,
agree.
that-
That's
that-
exactly what I'm.
That makes sense. And that level of specificity will, yeah, it is helpful, yeah,
We'll finally have this.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Not that
What,
you do.
you know, and.
one other idea that sort of ties in with this, and I don't know exactly how to do this, but one of the things that we've tried to encourage is the idea of reuse of existing buildings, you know.
It reads more in, this is why it's interesting, it
Yeah.
reads more, you talk about it in section 3. So maybe getting it in the
Yeah.
more digestible,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then the goals and the actions together, maybe it will highlight.
As far as housing strategies, reuse of existing buildings and, just keeping people in their homes and so forth should be a very big part of it, and that
Yeah.
should be
It,
stated right up
it
front.
reads in 3, they do talk about it, they talk
But that should
about
be
the elderly
carried
maintenance.
through the rest
Yep.
of the way.
Yeah.
Just one other quick example in West Harwich. The newspaper 2 weeks ago talked about the Davenport use of the church building. And I called up Christine the next day and said, how can they do that? It doesn't meet zoning. Well, it turns out that in 2020, the town changed the playing field and nobody knows about it. In 2020, they passed a multi-family bylaw that allows you to pretty much do a multifamily development as a special permit. A special permit is 80 to 90% of a permit. It's not a very high bar to clear. So whereas the rest of the town is basically 1 acre zoning, now there is a provision from the 2020, and it'll be interesting if you let me read the description of why it was done, that allows you to do it anywhere in town. So we don't
Really?
even have to go to 40R or 40Y.
Yeah.
The town's already done it, and nobody knows about it.
Do we have that mentioned in here under the sections that say what the town has done?
No.
So what are the
I
conditions?
had no
So
idea it
So if you
existed.
want to build, so in layperson's terms, for those of us who are not.
Yeah, it's
But
simple.
yes, yeah.
You can build multifamily housing, and the only limit on it is what sewer will allow.
But there has to be sewer.
The number of multifamily dwelling units shall be determined by the ability to place an adequately sized septic system for the number of bedrooms and required parking per number of units and landscaping on the site pursuant to that's,
But you can do it anywhere in town. It's not,
no. You can do it anywhere except East Harwich. Anywhere except the CH2 district.
okay.
CH2?
That's the center of East Harwich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't do it there.
So,
Isn't that where you'd
so you
want to
could
do
build,
it?
so you could build multifamily housing
Density?
on a subdivision lot someplace, anywhere in town?
Take a look at, when you have
Didn't
time.
know about this.
Let's see, we're at 325-51Q.
51 or 61?
325-51Q, multifamily special permit. It's
Three-
amazingly permissive, considering the controls we've had for the last 30, 40 years.
Does the planning board do the special permit?
yeah.
Okay.
Harwich planning.
But special permits are not hard to get.
No,
No.
no, they're not necessarily.
And just for, since I'm meeting some curious faces, the Board of Selectmen met with the Planning Board. This is explanation in the town warrant. The Board of Selectmen met with the Planning Board back in 2019 to discuss the need for the creation of workforce housing and the need for rental properties. This bylaw is a culmination of the effort to modernize a practical zoning bylaw and promotes for the health, safety, and welfare of residents.
So that's how they got Stone Horse in
We
there.
need 40,000 square feet.
No, it wasn't.
No.
But it could be used now for Stonehorse to request converting to all year. Yes, it could be used now.
Okay. So you need a minimum lot size of
40,000.
40,000, so that's an acre, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
but you can do as many units as you want on that acre.
Well, as long as you.
As long as your septic is
as long-
working.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But still,
And you still have the, yeah, you have the frontage of
325.
150, side feet,
25.
rear 25.
Dash 51.
Q.
interesting.
There's a maximum on height,
Should be.
but
Yeah.
multifamily, it looks like you can go higher.
It's probably how the schoolhouse is.
80% coverage of site.
No.
Might be how the
Put a lot.
schoolhouse
You can
in
put
West
a lot.
Harwich. I haven't checked that out. It's possible.
Anyway, all right.
Okay.
Carrie?
Intriguing aside. All right, intriguing aside, can we do, all right, land use growth, that's such a big hurdle to climb in the last 12 minutes. Natural resources, community design, we banged out. Coastal resilience, is there, I just want to try to finish a few things for Sharon here. My coastal resilience friends. Oh, I think, where do we put coastal resilience? This is my, this is right up there with the swimming pool. What strategies, what sections do we put in, evaluate and consider, fertilizers? And then evaluate and consider, fertilizer ban, and then evaluate and consider, we've talked about this, the tree cutting ban. What section does that?
Fertilizer should be under water quality, I would think, right?
Yeah, that's a water quality thing, and I think there was some, you did put something in, I can't remember exactly where it is, about tree,
Clearing.
tree removal.
Well, in the minutes last time we talked about it, Joyce brought it up, should it be in the energy section because the fact
The
that,
carbon sink, yeah.
right.
I don't care where we put it, but both of those things that are actionable things that you can measure that can go, maybe it's not a good idea, maybe it is, but no one's ever, you haven't,
Yeah,
looked
it's,
at it
the
fully.
tree thing is under the energy section. It says develop a tree protection, tree clearing bylaw to help sequester carbon.
I'm sorry, Joyce, I'm just blanked on what you just said about what you wanted to.
No, I think it's like, evaluate and consider something. The two, tree cutting and fertilizer.
Oh, fertilizer, yes, thank you.
I don't particularly care where, whatever is supposed to be where they're supposed to go.
Clear cut.
Yeah, wherever that's supposed to go. I don't, it could be coastal resiliency, it could be energy, it could be natural, it's not natural resources, I guess, but.
Well, it would be a water quality.
It is,
Water
it's
quality.
a water quality thing, so.
Fertilizer is water quality. I mean,
Yeah.
I still, as I was reading all about the Herring River today, and it's
Doesn't
like,
the town already have the fertilizer?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
no.
We used to. And then it was ruled that we didn't have the authority to do it.
Right, because the
And-
state thing.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So now, it's been brought to town meeting to try to get a home rule petition to do it, but it hasn't passed town meeting yet, so that it's,
It might if we have buttons this year.
Evaluate and consider.
okay,
And then the
But-
trees, I mean, people told us this.
yeah.
Evaluate and consider the trees.
And I'm sorry, you wanted the, tree clearing or tree protection clearing in natural resources, or?
I defer to.
That's where I would have put it, but that last phrase
Sequester.
talks about sequestering,
Oh. Under
carbon.
energy, development, I kind of like it there.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's,
can go in different
it
places.
can go in different
Sure.
different
Yeah,
places.
it's fine.
It's a land use growth
Yeah.
management sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, under coastal resiliency, there's a couple locations in town with the rising tide waters that the transportation network are endangered, principally along the Herring River and Pleasant Bay, where, I mean, you know, that's an issue that the town's going to need to come to grips with, probably within the 10 years. But where would that fit in?
Well, there's, the very first thing, it says, develop design guidelines to provide review boards and property owners with specific guidance on new development and redevelopment in hazard areas based on, so that's building. Are you talking about the actual roadway?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Issues?
and it's there, you know, and it's for the most part in areas that aren't going to see any new building.
Yeah, and then there is, if you go down a few more bullets, there's continue to pursue actions identified, and here we are, in the 2019 MVP summary of findings and the 2025 HMP, which include...
If you don't know the acronyms, nobody does.
Yeah. It's the hazard mitigation plan is one of them, and I forget what the other one is, but anyway, it talks about vulnerability assessments and implementation of strategies to address the town's low-lying roads, culverts,
there it
and
is.
stormwater
Okay.
infrastructure. So, yeah, it is in there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
A simple one in waste management was, I think you have it hiding somewhere, maybe under, I don't know where it's hiding, but those are nice things. Support the treasurer's chest, food waste, composting. You had like a textile recycling thing, and you have it somewhere else, but it could be.
That was up on the community.
Oh yeah, so it should probably go under waste.
The transfer station stuff should
Yes,
go under waste management.
transfer
Yeah.
station
Yeah.
improvements,
Yeah.
including
Yeah,
textile
that makes-
recycling and
that make-
computing. Isn't that an easy one? A cut and paste right there.
Those, the waste management ones honestly were very, very, very.
No, those are good.
So I didn't know if there was more meat on the bones for those that, should be added, but if we wanted to get something on paper.
I love it. The treasure chest is, yeah, it's good.
And just so everybody knows, the food waste recycling program has far exceeded anybody's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
we,
that's
I don't know,
great.
maybe
Yeah,
we should
yeah.
actually put a little, because we talked about community engagement with the
Yeah.
churches, maybe somewhere a little bit shout out to the garden club.
Yeah. They thought
They
that-
got the food thing
yeah.
going in.
They
Yeah,
thought they
yeah.
were going to be able to do it with 2 of the bins a week. They now have 7.
That's awesome. It's the garden club. It's the ladies of the
Yeah.
garden club.
So can you expand on what is happening or where this should go? I'm not sure.
Well, it's up,
Waste management.
it's up at the transfer station, and, you know, people,
The garden club got it going. They
Right.
figured
Yeah.
the food composting.
food waste.
Food waste and
composting.
compost. So they actually ran the little business model, and
Okay.
because it is not a money sink, the town took it on, and so there's little bins, big bins that you can put your food composting in now, and that actually sells it. The town sells it to the people that make Black Earth. They come and
Well, you could have 3
Makes
Labradors.
So we
Yeah.
should put something in the existing, the narrative in the existing conditions.
yes,
Really?
yeah.
Have a contact from Garden, we'll send you everything that you need to know about it.
Including a little thing.
They actually don't sell it.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay.
fee to have them come and collect
Yeah.
it.
Come
But the offset is, it's.
less trash. There was a little business model
Well,
that was run
Yeah,
here, right?
and, you know,
It's a
the
great
food
example
waste is,
Great example of
to put
community.
up in the vision for
Yeah.
how
Community
involvement.
partnership.
Can I make
Yes.
a comment on behalf of
but the
Jim?
food waste
Yes.
has a lot of weight, so what goes
Yeah.
through that
Yes.
doesn't go through.
It's wet and heavy.
Yeah, wet and
It's a
heavy,
great
yeah.
example of
So-
community engagement. And I threw another one in about the librarians, but that's in my revised 3.
So
Yes, go
Jim,
ahead.
Jim Nickman has 2
Please,
comments.
please.
He said, density may be difficult in places other than East Harwich because of lack of sewerage. I assume density requires sewers, not septic system, so we kind of covered that, but I'm gonna get it late. And then the other is around, there's very little said about the challenges and needs we have related to children, older adults, and people with health or mental health problems. Large majority seems focused on land and housing, which we're seeing these please pass this along.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm with you, Jim, if you're listening. I'm with you, and tried to add some more of that in my deep human read today, and we can certainly add more as we polish. But there were a few sentences where I specifically mentioned that, so I agree with you.
You're out of here.
Any other, in our 3 minutes left, along these big actions that I know everyone has their, sometimes, we have our sights on certain things.
I think we're,
No, I think you covered a lot.
No.
I'm good.
yep.
With that, can we get a motion? Well, let's confirm our next time. We are back on the Tuesday train. Tuesday, December 3rd,
Yay.
5 to 7.
Yep.
I may not be here. I might have a baby.
Oh, that's so exciting. A new soul in Harwich.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Add to the tax roll.
You don't look
Thanks
like
for
it.
supporting my kids, guys.
You're gonna have a baby, you don't look like it.
The way
I
these
think your
pants are
wife
fitting
would
now.
have something to say.
There goes that elementary school, we need a new wing.
Congratulations. I think that you can be officially excused if your wife is having a baby. You don't have to come to the LBC meeting.
Babe, it's for the future of the kids. I gotta go.
With that, can we get an emotion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
I second.
All right, all in favor, we got a roll call.
All right.
Barbara Nickerson, yes.
Margot Finn, yes?
Garrett Curran.
Joyce McIntyre, yes.
Ed McManus, yes.
Mary Jones, yes.
Brian Shell, yes.
Good team.
Jim Nickman, text me yes.
Okay.
See you, Jim.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Richard,
That topic.
good.
doing it,
So,
doing it.
how many of you all have voted already?
Yeah, everybody go vote.
I voted. I was.
You vote already?
I voted.
You'll see some
Mary,
local
did you
laws
vote?
here that'll probably cheer you up.
Mary, did you vote already?
Yes, I did.
Good. Barbara?
Nope.
Nope.